The Bletchley Riddle by Ruta Sepetys and Steve Sheinkin.
Hello, my name is Jack Baust, and this is the Bletchley Riddle. Chapter 1, Jacob. First things first, a riddle. A traveler crosses a border into enemy territory. We're talking ages ago, ancient times, warring kingdoms, that sort of thing. The traveler is stopped by soldiers. It's their job to make sure no one carries any secret messages. They search the man, strip him bare, run fingers through his hair. The man is clean. He pulls on his clothes, goes on his way. But he does have a hidden message. Where? I'll give you a clue. No, it's not in his brain and not in his body, though that can work. It's a classic spy trick. There's this story from the American Revolution where a British spy is caught sneaking through American lines. The Yanks suspect him of carrying secrets. They force him to drink some horrid potion, and next thing you know, the poor chap's evacuating from both ends. Sure enough, out pops a silver bullet. This is no ordinary bullet. It's hollow and can be unscrewed. Inside is a tiny folded note. But our traveler carries no such spy gadget. Our man continues his journey. He walks for hours. Finally, deep in the woods, at an agreed-upon spot, he meets a rebel leader, an ally of his own king. The traveler asks for a very sharp knife. He lifts the blade to his head and begins to shave off his hair. The secret message is written on his scalp. I'll never forget telling my sister this one. Lizzie was 6 or 7, and for weeks she had ordered every adult she saw to bend down so she could search their head for hidden writing. She informed Mr. Davies, our neighbor across the hall, that he could never be a spy. Why not? He wished to know. She said, because you have no hair. Davies was terribly put out. Maybe he dreamed of becoming a spy. Maybe he was one. It's possible. A nice head of hair is not required these days. You see, people have come up with better ways to send secrets than writing them on each other's heads. Of course, the more cunningly the secrets are hidden, the harder people like me will work for them. Chapter 2, Lizzie. Allow me to explain something. I'm lying. And surprisingly, I'm quite good at it. I never imagined that at the age of 14, I'd excel at deception, but these days, many things surpass even my robust imagination. England on the brink of German invasion, for one thing. The sweaty man in front of me, for another. Apologies, Mr. Fleetwood, I didn't realize I'd walked us so far today. That was one of the lies. Of course, the walk was a death dash, a ploy to ensure he'd be positively exhausted when we boarded the ship and entered our cabin. Fleetwood, my chaperone for the voyage, heaves his bloated and blistered trotters into a pan of water. Remarkably small feet for such a wide frame. He mops a line of sweat from his brow, his face so flushed with pink it resembles a glazed holiday ham. Oh, goodness, Gran made no mention of your foot ailment, I told him. I've no ailment, and you will report no such thing to your grandmother. I simply wasn't prepared for a march around the whole of Liverpool. He loosens his tie, settling it in with a drink. Perhaps you can understand my melancholy, I say, placing my suitcase where he'll be certain to trip over it. Today is the last day I'll see of England before we sail for America. And whose fault is that? He bellows, wagging a finger towards the ceiling of our cabin. Hitler's fault, I nod dutifully. The war is Hitler's fault. My displacement, Hitler's fault. This gas mask I carry at all times, I raise my voice for full effect. Hitler's fault! That's the reply he wants. Please note that I do not include the words I think, because I do not think. I know. Another benefit of the sage age of 14, there are many things you just know. Like the terrible truth that many British men who leave for war will die in the war. Or the fact that Mr. Fleetwood enjoys one too many nips of old Shenley. When I share things like that, people often say, my, aren't you precocious, Elizabeth? But let's be honest, shall we? When adults tell a child or a teenager that they're precocious, what they're really saying is, please don't say that out loud. But I say most things aloud. I prefer being straightforward. My older brother Jacob used to be straightforward before Willa disappeared, that is. Willa is our mother. Killed in a bomb blast, they told us. A falsity I refuse to accept. I no longer refer to her as mother because she's not currently here to mother me. So it's easier and hurts less to call her by her first name. Precocious? Probably. Willa is American. from a posh place called Cleveland. Some say that explains why I'm so straightforward, because I'm half American. They say the word American as if it's scandalous. I love that. Willa loved it too. Of course, someday I'll make it to America and meet genuinely scandalous girls. I imagine Cleveland to be a pond well-stocked, but I've never been to America. As I grew up, Gran always came to London because Willa was constantly working, and now Gran thinks I'm rushing to join her in Cleveland. So does her estate steward, the yeasty-footed Mr. Fleetwood. But I'm not. Of course I'm not. Willa is the only parent Jacob and I have left. I made a pledge to uncover the truth about her disappearance. I told my brother as much in my correspondence, but Jacob hasn't responded to any of the letters that I've sent to the curious address he provided. I've heard nothing from him for over 3 months. First, Willa disappears, and now my brother. I refuse to leave England until I determine their whereabouts. Mr. Fleetwood, would you like to join me for a stroll on the deck before we depart? No, he replies. I've just poured a drink. Yes, probably best to rest your legs. It's a small ship, but so lovely of Gran to book such a large suite, don't you think? I continue to chatter, as I've learned it tires him. Will you be able to endure the discomfort? I hesitate to leave you. I place a hand on my chest, even for a moment. I'm fine, he insists. His foot bath is now pinked by the weep of his blisters. Perfect. All right, I'd like to have my hanky as we set sail. A transatlantic voyage to escape German invasion. It's all so exciting, I gush. I'll return and unpack my suitcase as soon as we depart. Very good, Elizabeth. I exit the cabin, turn the corner in the hallway, pull a deep breath, and then I run as fast as I possibly can, dodging a luggage steward, vaulting over suitcases, and picking up speed midair. I dash down one staircase, then another, taking the final 5 steps in a single airborne leap. I land, rump first, on what appears to be a gilded box owned by a pinch-faced peacock of a woman. My hat, she exclaims. I do apologize, I say, removing my backside from the squash of her box, but I'm in a terrible hurry. And then I'm off again. Young lady, bellows the peacock. Young lady, what on earth are you doing? Her voice fades as I see my target exit. What am I doing? I'm lying and escaping. And honestly, I do feel a bit bad about it. It was much too easy. Poor Fleetwood, as my brother calls him. Clearly, he has no experience with teenagers. Clearly, he has no idea what I'm about to accomplish. Clearly, he is a very poor chaperone, because the steamship will sail for America. But I'll be racing back to London when it does. Chapter 3, Jacob. I stumble down the train station stairs and sprint along the platform, chasing the moving cars like the world's scrawniest adventure hero. Lunging for a door, I leap on board, trip, and stumble into the lap of a seated gentleman. Lovely afternoon, I say. The man offers a irritated humph and returns to his newspaper. I leave the gent to his reading and start down the corridor in search of a seat. I'm sweating, I'm panting, and I'm wondering what my sister has done this time. Here's what I do know. Lizzie is supposed to be on her way to America. For some reason, she didn't go. Instead, she showed up at the London address I use for mail, asking for me. And so I'm to go fetch her. Those were the colonel's exact words when I was called to his office this morning. Fetch, sir, I asked. He clearly does not know my sister. Fetch her. Yes, the colonel snapped. Which part of the order is unclear? And for heaven's sake, keep her quiet until you get back. I'll try. What have you told her about our work here? Nothing, sir, I said, my voice coming out rather higher pitched than I'd liked. I gave her the address we were told to use, the false one in London. She's written me a few times, but I've been so busy, and if I'm honest, we haven't been close in a long... He'd already returned to the newspaper desk work on his desk, conversation over. So I ran to the train station, and now I'm on my way to fetch Lizzie. What'll I say to her? How can I possibly prepare her for the strange place I'm going to take her to? I can't. I know that. Unless I want to be shot for treason. From London's Euston Station, I take a taxi to the Foreign Office, a block-long building of white stone. The driver agrees to wait. I run up the stairs and into the soaring entryway. I'm directed up to an office on the 3rd floor. The door of the room is open. And there she is. Those flashing eyes, the wiry frame and electrified brown hair. What is she now, 14? Also, who's that poor man in the brown suit? Chapter 4, Lizzie. A middle-aged man in a baggy brown suit sits at a desk. He looks as if he could weep of frustration. I'm simply saying, sir, that an ill-fitting suit, it does a man no favors. Shouldn't you be in school somewhere, he scoffs. My school was evacuated to Berkshire. I'll miss my friends, but I'm quite keen on a new adventure. My grandmother summoned me to Cleveland, but the ship has sailed, you see, pun intended. A stick figure with a mop of brown curls appears in the door. My brother. Jacob, I exclaim. Vaulting from the chair with relief, I throw my arms around him and squeeze. Goodness, you're thin. A duck's leg has more meat on it. You're the brother, the man asked. About bloody time. Yes, Jacob Novus. It took me a bit. Had to travel from... I know where you came from, the man growls. Well, I don't. Where did I come from, I ask. My brother shoots me a silencing glare. The man looks Jacob up and down, and so do I. He's taller than I remember, but still has a boyish face. His trousers and jacket are wrinkled, tie poorly knotted. Faint gray crescents ring his tired brown eyes, and his bedraggled curls are longer than usual. Has he been sleeping on the street? The desk man is not overly impressed. I see they employ children now. I'm 19, sir. Bully for you. Perhaps someday you'll even shave. Jacob reaches to touch his hairless chin. Yes, he looks young for his age, always has, I say. But be on your guard. He's quietly brilliant. He'll take you down in chess. 3 moves. Yes, well, says Jacob, ignoring me. I was instructed to fetch my sister. Excuse me. My hand's down to my hips. Fetch! She showed up hours ago, the man says, asking for you, asking endless questions, making herself a perfect nuisance. Yes, my brother sighs. She does that. What was I supposed to do, Jacob? You never answered my letters. I've been a bit busy. It stings. My brother is too busy to care? He thinks I'm a nuisance? Do you know, the man grouses, I could file a report. I stepped out for a moment, came back, and found her rummaging through the drawers of my desk. Outrageous! What's outrageous, sir, is your lack of organization. I've made dramatic improvements to your pencil tray. I turn to Jacob. You say you've been busy? Busy doing what? My brother looks to the office man, then back to me. We have to go. I've got to get back, he says. Back where? I asked. No reply. I turned to the baggy man. You see, this is what I was telling you. My brother used to be a bookish but chatty boy, very bright, skipped ahead 2 whole grades, awkward but lovable. I assure you, miss, I've no interest, but now he's become so distant. I charge on cryptic, a positive enigma. Jacob gasps, slamming his hand against a filing cabinet. A stack of folders tumbles to the floor. The man drops his head into his hands. My apologies, sir. We'll be leaving now, my brother says. He storms out of the building, and I run to follow. Jacob, what in the world is wrong with you? I shout as we race down the stairs. Jacob, wait! Chapter 5. Jacob. We get into the waiting taxi, and I give the driver the address of our family's flat. Jacob, why are you being so horrid? I turn my back away from my sister's blazing eyes, her bossy elbows. She's always had those. I watch out of the window instead. Crews fill sandbags, piling them in front of buildings. They hammer wooden boards over store windows. London is bracing for war. I notice patches of yellow paint on the letterboxes. Those weren't there before. The driver sees me looking. That's special paint, he exclaims. Meant to change color if it's exposed to poison gas. Everyone knows that, Lizzie tells me. Have you been living in a cave? Not exactly. Jacob, Lizzie pleads, I wanted to see you. Is that so terrible? I sigh, turning back towards her. No, it's not terrible. I really need to go back in time for work. What work? Here we go with the questions. I've got a few myself. What about you? You're supposed to be on your way to America. Said so in your last letter. Which you didn't answer. I meant to. What about America? Lizzie swats away the question. I didn't go. And I can't hold back a laugh. It's that crooked grin, her untamable hair. One of the most annoying things about my sister is how difficult it is to stay angry with her. Fine, I say. What happened? I got off the ship just before it sailed. What about Grand's awful henchman, I ask, the dreaded Driftwood? She laughs. Fleetwood. He didn't try to stop you? He needed a foot bath, Lizzie says, if it explains everything. I shake my head. So that poor devil's on the ship right now, crossing the Atlantic without you? He won't be lonely for long, Lizzie smiles. Gran will be there to greet him in New York. A terrifying image. She'll be even more furious with you, Lizzie. No one crosses Gran. I know, she says, but I couldn't just leave. Why not? Look around. The war's coming. It's coming here. Literally. Mom's gone. What's there to stay for? What if she comes back? Lizzie. No one will be here. Lizzie. She's not coming back. I see the pain on her face, and I'm sorry, but it's true. Our mother worked for the U.S. Embassy in London. She was sent to Poland in late August 1939, right before Hitler started the war. She never came back. It's now May 1940, and there's still no sign of her. We're told she'd almost certainly been killed in the German offensive. My plan was to stay with you, Lizzie says. I went to the postal address you gave. I'm not living in London. Where are you, at Cambridge? Elsewhere, I say. Working. On the war effort? I gesture to the back of the driver's head, giving Lizzie a not here look. She doesn't take the hint. My sister's not a big hint taker. You're a math student, Jacob, she says. What are you going to do, attack Hitler with algebra? Be serious. I'd use calculus at least, I say, and instantly regret it. Even jokes about our work are strictly forbidden. We drive through St. James's Park. The lawn is cut with trenches for people to jump in when Hitler's bombs start falling. The driver glances up at the sky as if expecting to see German planes. Won't be long now, he says. Chapter 6, Lizzie. Mayfair. A neighborhood typically whirling with noise and bustle stands eerily quiet. Windows are draped in black, signs point the way to air raid shelters, and the few people dotting the street clutch gas masks and steel helmets. Gibbs, the doorman across the street at Claridge's Hotel, watches as we exit the cab and approach our building. I give him a small wave, and at that moment, despite the air of danger, I'm so relieved that I'm not on that ship. I would have missed our peculiar rust-red building with the big black doors. Willa always described it as old, neo-Georgian, and she always emphasized the flat wasn't ours, but Gran's. Gran did buy it, but she never stayed with us. Gran always stayed at Claridge's or with her American friends like Lady Astor. Gran. I should probably explain Gran because much of this mess involves her. You see, I do love Gran, but I'm not always certain that I like her. Family dynamics are complex things, especially when you blend an American mother with a Polish, Jewish, British father who died before my 3rd birthday. Your mother chose poorly. Gran never tires of telling me. An old academic with a weak heart, I warned that he would die early and leave you fatherless, and of course I was right. She loved him, I always say. Exactly! She chose poorly. Gran feels the need to emphasize that I resemble the Cleveland family, but Jacob resembles the quote-unquote other side. Gran can be callous and more than straightforward. When Gran enters a room, people stop talking. Her nose is always slightly elevated, as if it detects a foul smell. Her ashen hair sits in a quivering pile atop her head, and her spectacles, if not teetering on the end of her sniffer, hang from a sterling chain to rest upon her ample bosom. Gran's figure resembles an upholstered settee, overstuffed, expensive, but uncomfortable to sit on. And she insists on formality, demands it. To Gran, I am Elizabeth, never Lizzie. Nicknames such as Lizzie are reserved for barmaids and axe murderers, of which you are neither, she once said. Not yet, I should have replied, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Jacob has opened the door to our flat and is pulling me inside. Hurry and pack, Lizzie. We've got to make the next train. Pack? But where are we going? Where have you been since the war began? Not now, Lizzie. There's no time. He quickly checks the blackout curtains, and voila, our housekeeper installed. You need to pack. But Jacob, to pack properly, I need to know where you're taking me. You'll see when we get there. He runs to my room and throws open the closet doors. He turns to me confused. Lizzie, why are all your clothes still here? I knew I wasn't going to Cleveland. You loaded empty luggage onto the ship? Of course not. I needed weight, convincing weight. I loaded my suitcase with old cricket bats. My voice drops in volume. Maybe your rock collection. My rock collection? Lizzie, how could you? His expression of sadness mixed with shock. It's awful and something I haven't seen since I accidentally swallowed his favorite marble. I've eventually reappeared, but was no longer his favorite. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you still cared about rocks. Jacob's face pinches with offense. They're not just rocks, Lizzie. They're minerals, crystals, and fossils. It took me years to find all that stuff. Well, now they'll be safe from the Germans in Cleveland. He begins pacing, pulling at his curly hair. Enough. Forget it. I've got to get back to work. We've got to make the next train. I reach out and grasp his arm. But what about Willa? If we leave, how will she find us? His patience thins. Lizzie, stop. She's not coming back. You're lying. She is coming back. She's alive. He spins to face me. Maybe it's best if she's not. Did you ever think of that, Lizzie? A chill floods my body. How could he say such a thing? I note his expression, and that's when I realize my brother's not only lying, he's not only annoyed, he's frightened. Truly frightened. What is he not telling me? And suddenly I'm frightened too. I dash to my closet, grabbing and throwing things. The Germans are coming. Hitler is coming. What do you pack if you don't know where you're going or when you'll return? Everything. That seems to be the wise answer. So I fill an entire trunk. After all, what if Germans blow up our flat like the supposedly blew up mom? I mean, Willa. Willa, I'll take some of her scarves, perhaps a lipstick or two. Lizzie, please, the train, yells my brother. I run to Willa's room and grab things from her drawers. Wait, her wellies. I have to take her wellies. Lizzie! I dash to the closet, whipping things out and throwing them aside. Where are the boots? I drop to my hands and knees, reach into the dark closet, pushing and prodding around the floor. A board moves, then two. Is the floor collapsing? That would be straightforward, as floors have been known to cave amid war. But that's not what's happening. We are on the brink of German invasion. My brother is lying to me, but the floor isn't collapsing. And what I find beneath the floor at that moment isn't straightforward at all. Chapter 7. Jacob. It's unsettling watching Europe's largest city prepare to hide in the dark. Lights are gone from the lampposts, blackout drapes hang in the windows of flats. Cars have switched on their headlamps, but they're covered in plastic lids, each with a few thin slits to let out only a dim glow. The thick white lines have been painted on the pavement to help guide drivers in the dark. We're back in the taxi, but there's no arguing this time. No talking at all. Lizzie's got her back to me, her trunk on the seat between us. She's furious about what I said in the flat, that maybe it's best if Mom's not alive. It was a horrible thing to say, I know, but she's got to face the facts. Willow went to Poland, the Germans attacked, and she was killed. It's awful, but I can't think of a better version of the story. I glance over at my sister, the little kid who used to follow me around, beg me for puzzles, interrupt me at chess tournaments with healthy snacks and suggestions for moves. Am I in charge of her now? No, I can't be. I've got work to do, more important work than I ever imagined doing. There's no way I can look after Lizzie at the same time. I can't even talk to her, can't even answer the storm of questions I know is coming. I wish I could just turn to her and say, look, Lizzie, I'm a cryptanalyst, a code breaker. It's all very hush-hush. Sounds ridiculous, I know, a line from a bad play, but the thing is, if I told her the truth, how I got into all of this, she'd accuse me of exactly that, imagining myself in some far-fetched spy drama, but it really happened just like this. It was late one night, about a year ago, months before the war started. I was in my rooms at Cambridge. I had my feet up on the desk, wearing my too small baseball cap and reading through a new batch of American detective magazines, when a lecturer in algebraic geometry called Gordon Welchman poked his head through my open door. There you are, Novus, he said. Don't picture some dowdy old professor type. Welchman's about 30. Leading man looks, a pipe clamped between his teeth. He glanced around to confirm that we were alone. Then he stepped in, shut my door, and clicked the lock. I put down the latest issue of Spicy Detective. Welchman made himself at home, dropping into a sagging armchair that was probably quite comfortable during the reign of King George III. He said, "Which way do the hands of a clock move?" I had no idea why this man had come to see me, still I badly wanted to impress him. The question itself seemed like a kind of clue. The answer couldn't simply be clockwise, or why bother asking? I'd taken my watch off earlier and set it on my desk. Now I watched the second hand tick, 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 its steady pattern. I looked at Welchman. The hands go one way if you're looking at the clock, and the opposite way if you are the clock. He gave a short grunt. Was that some sort of exam? I asked. Just a question we like to ask. We? Shows how you think. You walk into a room. Wait, what room? Just listen, he said. You walk into a room. On a table is a full deck of playing cards. There's an open window. There's a box of matches and an ashtray. You pick a card and look at it. I'm returning in 30 seconds. If I identify your card, you lose. What do? I could throw my card out the window, I said, thinking aloud, or burn it. Never find the card then. True. But those things, the window and the matches, those are decoys. Could be. If I get rid of the cards, so what? You look at the cards left in the deck and see which one is missing. No, the smart thing would be to simply put my card back in the deck and shuffle. Welchman smiled. The card is there, but you've made the information disappear. A useful thing to know how to do. He snatched a piece of paper from my desk. Those are my notes for... He wrote while he talked. We're doing some work that may prove important if things with Hitler heat up. Long hours, terrible pressure, lousy pay. Interested? He handed me the paper. If you get a phone message that contains the phrase, Auntie Flo is not well, come to that address. You understand you're to tell no one what you're going to say or anything at all of this conversation. Welchman stood, struggling a bit to get out of his chair. They still talk about your father, you know. Who does? Before my time, of course, he said, but he was a legend. My father? My father was a school teacher. Welchman winced, rubbing the small of his back. Good Lord, Novus, you actually sit in that thing? He lit his pipe as he walked out the door. Sweet smoke drifted back to my desk. I sat looking at the paper he'd given me, a town I'd never heard of. An address marked Station X. None of this made the slightest bit of sense, but I was interested. War work against Hitler? Most definitely interested. I'd thought a lot about joining up if war broke out, but wondered how I'd do as a soldier. Welchman's offer, whatever it was, sounded like the perfect job. And it was. It is. Now I just need to keep Lizzie from mucking it up for me. We're here, sir. It takes a moment to snap out of my thoughts. The driver has to repeat himself. We're here, sir. Euston Station. The taxi's pulled to the curb outside of the train station. Or what I trust is the station. It's too dark to see across the street. Lizzie's already wrestling her trunk out of the door. I take a few coins from my pockets, but I can't tell one from the other. The driver strikes a match and offers me its faint yellow light.